going on for your intro.
You've now tuned in to the Drawing Board Podcast, a powerful, thought-provoking discussion where we talk about family, relationships, ministry, community, and career. Let's see what exciting guests we have on our show today. Well, welcome. This is Andre Ebron, the founder and the host of the Drawing Board Podcast, where we talk about family, relationship, ministry, community, and career. Today has been such an exciting day. If you know anything about me, you know I love topics surrounding diversity, equity, and inclusion. This week alone, we had, Women's Equals Rights, Equals Pay Day. We want to make sure that if ladies are doing the same job, which they are, according to all statistics, that they're being compensated. They're just doing what they are entitled to. So shout out to all the strong ladies out there, female entrepreneurs, those who are doing exciting and great things that are shaping and impacting this world. I have my mother, Jeanette Ebron, Dr. Jeanette Ebron, doing amazing things. My sister, my wife, my aunt. So when it comes down to you getting equal pay for the job that you're doing, I am essentially an advocate for all of that. And tonight I have on the show, I should have a drum roll, please. I have Miss Candace Cox Wimberly. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Excellent.
Good.
I'm glad that you were able to come on the show.
The perfect timing with that intro, women's equity or women's rights and women's equal pay. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. And when we talk about exciting and igniting little girls to dream, I think about Mae Jemison and, her work with being an astronaut. I think about, I learned some interesting things about Wilma Rudolph actually in a leadership meeting at church this week that I didn't know.
Okay.
So Wilma Rudolph, the track star, went and did some exciting things. And she wasn't just the first African-American woman. She was the first American woman to accomplish those things that she did in track and field.
You taught me something new, too.
But here's what I found out is that she not only had polio, we know that, right? But she had overcome scarlet fever. She had overcome tons of childhood diseases in order to accomplish. And they said that her mother continued to just strengthen her legs. And when she came from a large family, and each family member had to take the time to do the exercises with her, and then one day she just decided to take the braces off herself.
It's all about the teamwork.
Teamwork.
That supportive system that her family came together to help get her to where she is, and I love it.
I love it too. So if you are fortunate and blessed enough to have a strong team of family support of women who will not take no for an answer and who will push through glass ceilings, who will shatter all former concepts of what is possible for women to accomplish. In fact, every nation in the world, the greatness has been built upon the ingenuity of women. So shout out to you all. I like to say it like this. I say it like this, and I mean it wholeheartedly, that if you ever want to see the rise and the fall of any family, the leadership, I know everybody, I can hear all of my church folks tying in, but if you want to see the rise and the fall, listen, I'm just going to, listen, I just want, listen, the rise and the fall of any household is based upon the tenor of how that woman builds her house. In fact, Scripture says a wise woman does what? Builds her house. So shout out. Okay. Now, here's what I love. We met, this hasn't even been a week.
Right.
It hasn't even been a week ago, but I was so impressed with meeting you and looking at, your confidence when you came in. You exude some dignity and integrity and just class poise. So I was like, I have to see exactly, what she's offering. And when you expressed that you were an author and an international speaker and you have a heart for, building our youth and our next generation of leaders, I wonder when I meet, my first question to you, remember, was tell me about your journey. How did you get this? So tell me about it again. How did you, this woman that's sitting before us now, take me to 10-year-old you when you began to dream and aspire, and what causes you now to have a strong passion to build the character of our youth?
Okay, awesome. Excellent question. It's perfect timing. So Let me first say that I was brought up in a God-fearing home by my mother. So let me give a shout out to my mom as well.
Okay, shout out.
You know, in this Women's Celebration Month, a woman who has, you know, instilled nothing but integrity, love, and the person I am today, the morals and the standards that I have today is that foundation. That's where I learned it. So I was brought up in a church. Went to church all week. You know, my mom had choir rehearsal. She was on the usher board. She was a nurse, you know, and I was in the choir, you know. So it felt like we was always at church.
Okay.
And at that time, I was like, that's all we do is go to church. Right. School, work, and church. And when I look back, I can't help but have gratitude, you know, for that foundation because, you know, it's instilled in me. You know, the lessons that were taught by the leadership of the pastor, you know, and as well with just learning how to be of service. You know what I mean? Being able to learn how to serve, you know, and I look back and I would laugh or I'd be like, Mom, you always doing stuff at church, you know, but I'm blessed to reap the harvest of some of her seeds that she invested when she was serving all those years. You know, when I first kicked off my program, I first started my business at my church home. They opened the doors.
Oh, excellent.
For me to start there. You know what I mean? So that abilities to have that safe space, but also to be entrusted to do such a thing, you know, I'll always be appreciative to my Bishop Charles Ellis at Greater Grace Temple.
I was going to say, are you going to shout your church out? Okay, go ahead and get an address. Go ahead and shout it out. Go ahead.
23500 West 7 Mile is where they fellowship at. You know, our fellowship is on Sundays and on Wednesdays. But anyhow, I was just reflecting and thinking about, you know, that serving, you know, learning all of that, learning about community, learning about how, you know, your brother, your sister, but it's a little bit deeper than you might see in the surface as a kid. So at 10 years old, you know, that's what I was doing. You know, and I was, you know, doing after school activities, maybe cheering, you know, in school. And then by the age of 12 is when I decided I wanted to become an entrepreneur.
Okay. Like what? So when you talk about service, and then I want to go into like what led you to be an entrepreneur, what was the triggering thought that said, you know what, I want my own business? Mm-hmm. I heard a quote today by one of my fraternity brothers. He said, and he didn't make the quote, but he shared it in a space where we were sharing.
Right.
And he said, if service is beneath you, then leadership is beyond you. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on that?
You have to serve first to be a leader. I believe that you must know how to serve, and even when you become a leader, that doesn't mean you're still serving as a leader. You know, you're serving in a different capacity or role, you know, but you have more people you're responsible for. But as a good steward, keeping that mentality of being humble enough to know I'm doing this in service, you know, versus it's all about me and is what I say. That's not a leader. That's dictatorship.
Okay, that's good. So I know there's that meme or that image where it shows the difference between a leader and a manager, or you know, and dictatorship says my way or the highway.
Right.
And now, so I'm looking at your foundation, which is you were raised in a God-fearing home, dedication and service to God, working within your ministry, and watching your mom serve in various capacities, whatever was needed. Then she brought you in and you were serving, and then you were involved in after-school activities. Right. And then at age 12, you decide as a young woman, a young lady, that says, I'm going to be an entrepreneur.
I did.
Like, what was that triggering? Like, take me to that experience. It sounds like a revelatory moment.
Yeah, it was. Okay. I kept it under wraps
until
I graduated college.
Oh, wow.
I wrote it down, wrote it on a piece of paper. I remember, again, you know, at church, my pastor said, you know, we have entrepreneurs here in this building.
So, wait, I need you to frame it for me, though, because I can hear it. So, is the Hammond B3, is the Hammond B3 playing, or is he just teaching?
You know, it's teaching.
Okay,
you know,
so he was teaching. Okay.
Or, you know, and I just remember sitting in church. So we have entrepreneurs in here, and if you're an entrepreneur, write it down, you know, and, you know, if you believe it, stand up or declare it. I declared it, you know. Something awoke inside of me to know, like, that's my calling. That's what I'm here to do.
Okay.
I didn't talk about it. I didn't brag about it because I never got caught up in the idea of being an entrepreneur as, hey, I got my own business, and, you know, that's my motivation to just motivate people in that aspect. Mine was more of, okay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, so I have the freedom and the flexibility to do all that I'm called to do to fulfill my purpose without any limitations.
That's good. Can you take a moment and declare that to somebody right now? We're going to have that moment that you had at 12 years old. We're going to have that moment on the Drawing Board podcast right now. Go ahead and speak to the people.
Okay. So pretty much knowing the difference between entrepreneurs as well as a business owner, those are within itself two different things. And when I became an entrepreneur, it was in line with my initial purpose or desire to be an entrepreneur. Of course, yes, I want to have my own business, but the reasoning behind it was for me to have the freedom, to have that flexibility without a glass ceiling to fulfill all of my purpose that is within me. And at that time, at 12, I didn't know what type of business it was going to be. I just said okay to the assignment.
Okay.
I said, okay, yes, okay, and it'll come to me in due time. And when I did that, I put it to the side, stayed focused, went to college, got my bachelor's degree, and worked for the state of Michigan for a little while. And then it came back, full circle that was something I was supposed to do. I started doing community development in a consulting capacity. And then during that time, I think I was like going through some paperwork or something. And I came across a sheet of paper.
Okay.
And I forgot I even wrote it down. And
right.
I was like, wow, who knew, who thought, and it goes right back to Habakkuk. It says, write the vision, make it plain, So, I encourage anyone that is thinking about entrepreneurship, thinking about starting your own business, make sure that you know and always remember the why you're doing it, the why you are accepting this calling, because it's not all about, glitz and glitter all the time. Believe you me, there's a lot of days where you are not being paid, but you're not even thinking about it because that's your commitment. But it's also when you know that it's something that you are called to do, it's no longer just something you may want to do. It's also a responsibility for you to fulfill. Because if that's inside of you and it's something you have to bring forth in this world, you are called to be a good steward of that. So I take that serious. In one of my favorite references in the book of the Bible is in Matthew 25. And it talks about the parable with the talents and the gifts.
Right.
And I live by that because I believe and know that we all have talents. We all have gifts, and it may not line up for everybody as an entrepreneur, but we all have talents and gifts.
And so that's interesting that you frame it that way, or that is the launching pad from which you work. So entrepreneurship for you is not just an opportunity, it's an assignment.
Yeah.
And when you have that conviction, that deep conviction of what will you present back to the Lord with the talent that he gave you, you definitely can't bury it. You need to double it and increase it and multiply it and let the grace of the Lord be upon you to impact other lives. So now that brings me to your program. Share a little bit about that. What is your program? What do you do?
Okay. Well, there's a number of things we do. I can actually start with the history and fast forward us to where we are today.
All right.
So in 2012, we initially began programming for high school students that were going off to college.
Okay.
And we provided programming in an after-school setting. And that was phenomenal, and I can say that because of the feedback I got from those who've now graduated college.
Wow.
And have reached back out and said, the program is very, very helpful with not only them transitioning to college successfully, but to go and be retained and to finish and complete college and to reduce student loan debt and just the resources, that were provided, to have them come back to me and share thank you. The parents, we appreciate it. Them reaching back out now and even coming back to volunteer. Like, how can we help in some capacity to the future youth or those you all are working with? So that within itself, I let that speak for itself, of the enrichment and workshops we provided. So initially it was 12th graders. And then shortly after, we began programming for young people as early as 6th grade.
Okay.
So now, to date, we provide programming to youth from 6th grade to 12th grade. And then we also do adult education, adult workshops, as well as parent workshops. And our focus is centered on college preparation, as well as, motivational empowerment for just self-help and enrichment on just really deciding on your purpose and fulfilling that. So that's, the programming capacity of it. And then what we have today here is my book, which is entitled I Am a Genius, the Career Manual, which encompasses a lot of the things we just went over, in what we talked about today, but in the programming. And a book is just going into how to really, learn about yourself. Asking very vital questions that we may not ask on a day-to-day.
Right.
And then getting your history, your family's educational history, finding out, why and what the next step will be. If, in fact, you want to go to a trade school, if you want to go to a university or college, knowing the difference and being able to know that it's okay in whatever decision you're going to make to get higher education. So it's a lot of things in there, as well as in entrepreneurship, how to start a business, the steps on different types of businesses. We even go into, or I wrote down a breakdown of difference between a private sector, public sector, and a nonprofit sector. And I get from a lot of people feedback like, man, I didn't even know or break it down in that way or that capacity. So yeah, it's a lot of great fundamentals in the book, and it was put together more so to help and serve more young people across the globe at a greater capacity. And we have a lot of, great things underway coming forth soon.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I'm looking at some of the work that you've done, and you've done work with Steve Madden. You've done work with Nordstrom, United Way, Michigan State, GM, Ford, just to name a few. And so when you get a chance to get those testimonials back and you have, those who have gone on and graduated that are proof positive that your program is successful, what's next for your program? I Am Genius. Is that the title of the program?
I Am a Genius.
I Am a Genius.
Right now, we're actually underway of preparing our tour. The Genius Tour. The Genius Tour.
Okay.
Yep, the Genius Tour. I'm excited about it.
Me too. It sounds like it sounds like you need a speaker on that platform.
Yes. The Genius Tour, we're going to be going to different states and working with 12th graders and parents.
Okay.
Providing workshops, again, to help those transitions, to provide that support system, but just to give that enrichment, that excitement that, they need to know, okay, these are things I should have in place. I'm now, class of 2020. I need to know what I need to have to be a solid graduate and being able to go into college, and be prepared and not catch that senioritis.
Right, that senioritis kicks in. And if anybody knows about it, you definitely were sitting there wondering, how many assignments can I not do?
Can I not do
and still graduate? No, there is a greater goal. You must get ready to transition. And I think that's so important. So when we look at education, or when we look at, and even look at life, so it's just a microcosm of real life, the school setting. So transitioning from 5th grade to 6th grade, huge year. You end up setting the platform that will determine what high school you go to. Transitioning from 8th grade to 9th grade, those are if you come from the church perspective, those are the teen and tween years, right? So we want to make sure that the tween years, so we make sure that we don't lose them in that space. And then when you're 9th grade, or you're 12th grade, getting ready to transition, really to start life. You want to start at the greatest capacity you can. It's always easier to start high and continue to develop what it is that you're doing at an optimal level than to have to, just grind. And now grinding has its place, So I already hear, those that are tuning in say, I've been grinding, I stay on my grind. That's good. But it's good to be able to not have to struggle when you have prepared. And so your program takes them through, I'm sure, the FAFSA process, understanding. Talk to me about how essential identity is in your program, helping young people discover who they are as they plan to pursue what they want to study in college.
That's the core of it. That's the core of everything we do.
Okay.
The statement of I am a genius is intentional.
Okay.
So when people look at the book or they have a T-shirt, they're like, genius, or I am a genius. And I say, you're right, you are. And so many people I ask, have you ever declared that? Have you ever said that to yourself?
Right. Come on, let's take a moment and declare that right now. I'll let you lead us. Come on, lead us in that declaration.
All right. Let's all say, I am
a
genius. And believe it and keep saying it until you believe it. Repeat it. and continue to say it. And then the more you say it, you know how affirmations work.
Right.
You say it and then you believe it, but even print it out. Matter of fact, get your book. Get your I Am a Genius book. Get your I Am a Genius t-shirt. Just to be reminded that you are a genius. We all are geniuses, in my opinion, because we're created in the genius's eyesight, image.
All right. The
you
image
know what
and
I
likeness.
mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And being able to go back to your question of identity, it starts with knowing whose we are.
Okay.
Okay. And
right.
then as we are aligned and knowing that helps one's confidence within itself of knowing, okay, who I belong to. You know, and then learning what your assignment is, what we are called to do, such as, let's speak about the Apple phone.
Okay.
Can you imagine that never being created?
I mean, I'm an Android
I
user,
am
you know
too,
what I'm saying?
but
Android, so, Apple's, biblically, well, they call it the fruit. They don't say it was an apple, but no, I'm joking. So, yeah, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
That software system.
The software system, let's just
Right.
say cell phones within itself, in its entirety.
Right.
Can you imagine it today of it not being in existence?
I couldn't imagine it.
Couldn't imagine it, even
No.
though there was a time, and I would imagine even maybe in your lifetime.
Oh, wait a minute. I feel some shade. I feel some palm trees and cool air. She said maybe in my lifetime. Now, hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a second. Listen, put the drawing board on pause. We will be back. No, I'm joking. But, yes, absolutely. And in some ways, I am an Apple user because I love my MacBook. Yeah, so in my lifetime, yes. By the way, 1982 was a good year. Holla at your boy. No, but absolutely. I couldn't imagine interfacing. And actually, I was just telling my engineer, Kate, my A1 since day one. Shout out, Kate.
A1 up there.
Yeah, what's going on? And I was saying to myself, like, my computer's moving so slow. And then I was thinking as I was saying that out of my mouth, I was like, I remember DOS. I remember, when it was you had to plug into the telephone jack and the dial up. So I was like, well, slow is relative depending on, when you're talking about it.
Yeah.
And that just goes to process. And, in my mind, I was saying transformation takes time. Mm-hmm. And depending on who's engaging with it, determines what level of patience they exercise with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just knowing that there was a point it never existed, right?
Never existed, right.
So someone said yes to the call. They went to the drawing board.
They did.
They went and they fulfilled what it is they were called to do. And here we are now across the world benefiting from that and then executing our purposes through this device. So it's kind of like investments. Right. Let's go back to the parable with the talents. So there was one guy who had 2 talents, multiplied it to be 4.
Right.
The other one had 4, multiplied it to be 8. And the one that had 1 went and buried it. It was like, now I want to keep it. I want to make sure, that it was good, it was safe. I'm going to save it for later.
Right.
And I think about that, and it makes me think about some people probably sitting on their gift, thinking and saying, I'll wait to the perfect timing, or I'll wait until whatever it may be. If not now, when? If not now, when? I was listening to, I can't remember who it was, but someone was doing a speaking engagement. And they shared that procrastination actually is arrogance.
Well, let's talk about it.
And they shared that procrastination is going on the assumption that we'll have more time to complete what we already know we need to get done.
That's a good thought. So
the arrogance comes into play of, hey, yeah, I'll get it done and I'll be able to, as opposed to, you know what? I need to make this happen. I need to do it and don't keep prolonging it and make, procrastinating.
Right. And some people call themselves the king or queen of procrastination.
I've heard that.
Saying that they need that level of intensity or pressure in order to perform at their best. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's a paradigm shift that must take place, for that particular person. Mm-hmm. But because it takes a lot more work to prepare than it does to rush, and I agree with you. Mm-hmm. If you feel like you have more time than you actually do, I could hear mother whoever or, deacon whoever saying, no man knoweth. No, but
the day of the hour,
right? Absolutely. So, I mean, they always refer to something as it relates to the rapture.
Right,
or the Lord coming
right.
back.
But you know what, Andre? I'll just make it even more transparent with that thought. Because I know I've been wanting to push it to the last minute, you know, for school papers the night before, kill
Absolutely.
it. But I'll be stressed like, oh, Lord, how am I going to get on the other side of this paper? I don't know how I'm going to finish it the night before, right?
Right.
But going back to our callings and our talents, it's not about us.
It's not
Point
about us.
Blank, period.
Yeah.
So about not knowing the day or the hour, yeah, you might still be here 5 years from now, but that person that needed your gift, that person need to hear from you, they may not be.
That's
or their life may be shifted in a different direction. So it's not about us.
Right.
Our story, our talent, and purpose is help somebody else. So that whole piece of holding on to what's in you, bring it forth because someone needs it. Someone is calling. Somebody needs your story. Somebody needs your talent, your gift. It's time now. If you're listening to this and you're watching this, you are now held accountable for the information you are now hearing because you already know within yourself. You've been thinking about it. You've been like, oh, okay. But you can already feel it within yourself that the time is now. So act on it.
The time is now. Act on it. I think that's essential. Because your gift is an answer to someone else's problem.
Absolutely.
And when you think about it that way, and here's the thing, the only thing that you're required to do is utilize it.
Yeah.
And God has a way of increasing your capacity as you be faithful with the use of it. So I think about your story. You started using your gift at church, you know, and your program started growing there. Mm-hmm. Then it started growing even more. Mm-hmm. Then you have testimonies now. And as you see the gradation or the gradual growth of it, now you're getting ready to travel. You have traveled the world, but you're getting ready to take the tour of, guess what, your gift to empower, impact, and shape lives, you know, from the calling and the assignment on your life. Think about how many people are benefiting from that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's excellent.
Thank you.
I think about a time where, and sometimes people can be in a rush to try to accomplish things before time.
True.
And I'll use this slight example. My wife was pregnant, and I went to go get her some food.
Right.
So, you know, that I had to definitely rush to get there.
Right.
And this gentleman, he stops me, and I'm like, oh, man. You know, I don't want to be rude to this guy, but I really, really need to go. Mm-hmm. So he stops and he talks to me on the street, and he asks me to pray for him. And I was like, oh. And I see one of the things that I enjoy doing or that, you know, part of my assignment is to pray. And see, because my faith is in God, to be able to connect. And once I get agreement, the answer is done. You know, that's what, and so that is, like in prayer, that's what you're looking for when you're praying with somebody, is that once we agree, it's over. God's doing it.
Right.
So pray for this guy. You know, when you're on the street, shout out to all my street evangelists, pray with your eyes open, all right? Don't close your eyes when you're praying on the street. Don't close your eyes when you're praying on the street. So praying for this guy. And at the time, my mother was very sick. And so that was weighing heavy on me, you know. We were believing by faith that, you know, God was going to heal, and he did. But at that time, we still, you know, we were applying our faith.
Right.
And sometimes what you feel like you're stopping at a moment of what can be considered inconvenience, God can have one of the largest blessings for you in that obedience. Because that guy turned around, the Spirit of the Lord fell on him, and he started prophesying to me and said, hey, I know you're worried about your mother. God says she's going to be healed. He wants to do this and that with your life, and this is what he's going to do. So in that moment of obedience,
and did he know anything about your mom?
He didn't know anything about. So I knew that moment of obedience was really, it was a mutual exchange, but it was really for me.
For you.
And so this guy that was walking on the street, what some would consider a vagrant, and asked me, he stopped me and asked me to pray for him. And really, in that moment was for me. But had I pushed past it and not obeyed.
Right.
And so you said, why did you share that story, Ebron? Because some of you are pushing past your gift. And really, if you stop and obey God with what he has blessed you with to empower others, you'll find that blessing in turn was really to empower you.
Absolutely. I mean, I believe it's important to just be in tune with God, hearing his voice, but also being in tune with, like, where you were like, okay, let me stop. Let me be, you know, and communicate, or let me go ahead and be a services man. You know what I mean? You know, that's another way of saying, hey, you sold 10%, but you got back 100-fold.
Absolutely.
You know, in a different capacity.
Right.
And a moment ago, you mentioned about, rushing too quickly, and sometimes, I mean, again, in context of, reference to the Bible, it states, be anxious for nothing, but in all thy ways, supplication, and
With
pray with
Thanksgiving,
thanksgiving
make your
unto God.
request. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is important not to rush things and matters. You know what I mean? And especially because we're talking about the subject matter of entrepreneurship.
Right.
Being a business owner, there are things you need to put in order to help your business be more successful. You know what I mean? I learned earlier on, I was like, man, I'm ready to get this. I'm ready to do it. I knew I was business astute, but there are some things I didn't put into place. And now looking back, I'm like, man, that probably would have helped things go a little bit faster, a little bit quicker, or I even consulted individuals who were in business for probably like years to come, but never have wrote a business plan. You know what I mean? It could take advantage of having additional funds, additional supporting team members.
Right.
So I share it to say, having your affairs in order, because God is a God of order.
That's right.
So having it in order, being clear on the direction you want to go, being clear about the vision, but having order, having your business plan laid out, going over it, having someone look over it, taking advantage of a lot of resources that are available today. In the Metro Detroit area, we have Tech Sound. They have a lot of support there to help individuals who are starting their business. You have a lot of small business organizations online. There are a lot of resources to help small business owners get on their feet and learn about what they can do. Templates are of the galore online now for business plans. Just going and looking at some templates online to be able to compare it to what you're seeking to do. It's a lot of resources online to help you get into position in place, because a business plan helps you, most importantly, get some funding if you're going to be a business owner. Now, if you just want it to be a hobby, okay, but if you actually are seeking to be a business owner who is generating funds, then a business plan is going to help you.
Yeah, I'm thinking one resource off mine is SBA.gov.
Right.
SBA.gov is good. I know Build Institute is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I just went to an event that they had where it's called Detroit Soup, where they have different people.
Yes, Detroit Soup is great.
Yeah, so I went to that. That was awesome. Like you mentioned, Tech Town's great.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when Marcus and Eric were downtown in the Black Suites.
Yep.
I stayed down there Steak Friday. They're no longer so they're no longer down there, but I know they're helping like with marketing. So there are tons of resources, and what I love is it's kind of a great hub of startups. So the feast and famine of entrepreneurship sometimes is up, and you have, I just had April Boyle and Jacquees Purefoy here from Build last week.
Okay.
So we talked about that, and I love it when you shape it from your perspective. And I think I'm looking right at some portions of your book and saying everybody needs to get this book to be able to journal. Like, journaling is huge and important. So I am a genius. Yeah, you are a genius. Now it's time to go to work. Let's get to work. And it is a functional journal that allows, I don't know if we can zoom a little bit, but people can see you can write in here. I won't give too much of it away because you need to make sure you get the book. But we're talking about such things as mentorship groups, nonprofit and community orgs, parents, skilled trade schools, skilled trade workers, students, vocational schools, youth, job seekers, guidance counselors, educators. It's just so much in this book that you need to make sure you get. So tell me, Candace, where can they get your book at?
Oh, great question. Right on our website, which is iamagenius.net, IAMAGENIUS.net, and it's also available on Amazon.
Excellent. So when you were thinking about, and I heard you kind of allude to it, but I just want to bring some clarity around why you were inspired to title your book or your program I Am a Genius. Mm-hmm. And so tell me about that. Like, I love moments. So what we're going to create before we leave today is the moment when, and I would, like, so in my mind, may I take the liberty of like telling your story, like the 12-year-old when you wrote the paper, like this is what I saw, right? So I saw like a young lady, because I know what it is to serve at church, right? So you're sitting within the pew, right? You have your little sheet of paper because your mama told you have to pay attention, and take notes. You got to know what the sermon title was and be able to dialogue about it. So I know that, right? So I see this young lady, dressed, very nicely, listening to the message. Bishop Ellis is preaching. He's teaching now. He's instructing about building the kingdom, right? So
Absolutely.
in order to build the kingdom, we have to not just continue to go to, in my mind, this is what I see him doing. We can't continue to go to the world for these finances. We can be able, when God created a system, those who operate within the kingdom should be able to fund it. That's why entrepreneurs exist. And I can hear him saying, so right now, I believe by faith, God is releasing this anointing for entrepreneurship, right? So this is what I see him doing. And then he says, if you believe that you are an entrepreneur, right? So everybody's like, they start praising God, right? You tune. So I see it like.
Andre was on the end of that pew, y'all.
Yeah, I was. And listen, and so then I can see you like your ears and your eyes perk up because your assignment spoke to you and was quickened in that moment, right? So that it was a prophetic moment for you because the word that was coming from the man of God connected with your assignment. And so then I see the young lady who's writing, decides to look up, and it seems like she and the bishop are having this moment where the word of God is coming from him directly to her. And then from that point, like God starts working behind the scenes to orchestrate your mentors, to orchestrate your experiences, to orchestrate those things that will make you an effective witness for him through entrepreneurship.
Wow, that
so
was
like,
good.
Yeah, so like I'm telling you, so
I want to do a video, a commercial now. Right, and
so,
you be the producer.
Hey, let's do it. I'm with it because I can see that so vividly. And here's my little moment to say, for those of you who wonder like the validity and the importance of having your young people at church, like these moments are huge, because when faith is released from the man or woman of God that is sharing, it connects with what God has assigned you to do. Whoever you paying attention right now, and you're like, man, I remember when my pastor was preaching, and something like leaped in my belly that said, I need to do something about this, or that thing that continues to upset you that you don't see happening. Like that's part of your assignment. And I believe that if you connect with Candace and you actually start, write the vision. You start walking through the journal, and listen, there are tons of resources in here. Like look where I put your card at. Yeah, she can see. I won't show you. You got to get the book. All right? But the next page right here is about an idea. Everything we see within this world, Candace, it started off as somebody's idea.
Yeah.
And they had the courage to take that step of faith to see that idea from conception to realization.
Absolutely.
Walk me through that process. Or I asked you another question prior to us getting to this point, but I feel like right now, I think it's important when we talk about entrepreneurship that we talk about process. So so talk to me about that.
So your question, the process was genius, right?
Yes.
The process of that.
The process of that. Yep.
Okay. Or was there something?
No, you good.
Okay.
Yep.
So the process, I got it. Since he went and did this whole theatrical story that brought so much life to the situation, I gotta try it on right quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I remember teaching to, I believe it was either my 6th grade or 7th grade class. So I'm standing in front of the classroom, and it's an urban community school, but the students are, hungry for knowledge, hungry for information, and they all have a whole diverse, different background situations that they're dealing with as kids. Some stuff real heavy, you know. So seeing them come in, but still pushing, still being motivated, still, making a point to try to do their best and come to school even though they're hungry. They got the same uniform on they had on all week with the dirty food stains on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just a number of things that you could see, like, man, they got some tough times going on, in their situation outside of school. Yeah. So when I would come and I would meet with the young people, and I'm standing in front of the class and talking to them, and I'm encouraging them, and we were discussing the lesson, and it just hit me to say, you are a genius. For each and every one of them to know, I have a purpose. I am here for a reason, to give them that extra motivation to keep pushing forward through whatever they're going through, and for them to always look back and say, you know what? I remember when my teacher told me I was a genius, and we affirmed it every single day. Before we left class, we would say, I am a genius. I would hear them and see me in the hallway. Or I hear them conversation. You know, you just walking by and passing. They're telling their friend, like, man, I'm a genius. You know what I mean? Just seeing the language change and it changing the level of confidence. It was really important to me to make it a point to awaken that within them of knowing you have a purpose. You are a genius. And whatever that is, whatever your talent, your skill is, that's going to be in line with your genius. So at that time, that was at the middle school, and that was maybe 2013, 6 years ago.
Okay.
And then from there, it just continued to be birthed within me, and knowing that we all have our genius, and it's just an awakening of it every day that we're going to school or we're doing whatever it is to become a better person. It's actually sharpening our genius within us. So an awakening was already within us because we have everything we need.
That's right.
Everything we need it's already in us. So the exposure, the resources, the knowledge that we continue to get is more of just an awakening and a sharpening of who we are to be our best self.
That's good, because what I extracted out of what you were saying is that their challenges didn't negate their purpose. That their tough times and their heavy life circumstances, their assignment didn't change just because they went through that.
Right.
In fact, it was we needed to go that way for regarding what was ever happening with their assignment and who they to impact. Their genius was cultivated, or they were diamonds in the rough.
Right.
That through that polishing of those daily affirmations,
right.
The brilliance of who they were came through, and it just takes us being faithful to our assignment for other people to become who they are destined to be.
Absolutely.
So all of us, your future, your destiny is interdependent. We all need one another.
Yeah.
Many members, one body. All right, because my church folks know you came on in. All right, my believers. So
where do you fellowship at?
I fellowship at Kano's International Church.
Okay.
Where I say the baddest pastor in the land. That's what when I introduce my pastor, say the baddest pastor in the land. My pastor, your pastor, the world's pastor, the chief apostle, Dr. Carol Lee Dixon.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so I've been there for 15 years.
Okay.
And that was my wife's church.
Okay.
Before I moved to Michigan.
Okay.
And I say the baddest pastor in the land.
Okay.
I've seen everything. Now you got me talking, so I'm talking now.
But
I'm saying,
I hear.
yeah. And I've seen everything from those with ailments be healed supernaturally. I've seen the community work that she's put in to be able to assist, those who are going through challenges. I've seen, paradigm shifts where minds, needed to be regulated. I've seen those drug addicted come in and be healed. I've seen those families that were, broken and separated become healed under the ministry and the teaching of the word.
Okay.
I've seen those who were living totally unrighteous be clean by the washing of the word. So this is real to me. So when you think about, and that's why I felt when we met last week,
right.
I know the difference between when someone is presenting a product or when someone is getting a chance to share themselves, right? So when I look at your book or when we were in that meeting, I was like, no, this is serious to her. This is not just something that she decided, oh, here's a need, let me fill it. No, this is a part of her assignment.
Yeah.
And so in that meeting, something you said that I thought was profound. You said, it's something about this place. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. And she got some discernment on top of this. Wait a minute. And so that's why I was like, got to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you're doing. Quality product you are. Definitely have to get the book. To get the book. And you need to follow her. Where can they follow you at?
I'm on Instagram, which is Genius. I am a Genius, as well as Facebook. And if you go to our website, you can see all our social media platforms. You can just click there to make it easier too.
Okay, So question, how can we support you? How can we get involved?
Awesome question.
Okay.
So right now we are, again, pushing the Genius Tour. So what we definitely need support with is getting the word out to get it in as many churches right now as where I'm focusing on. In the churches, to be able to get to the high school seniors and their parents to provide the workshops. So that's one way that's really helpful, getting the word out to all the people that you know.
Yes.
So we can get it to the churches across beyond Michigan.
Okay.
All over. Another thing that we're doing right now is all the proceeds that we get for I'm a Genius, a portion of those proceeds goes towards a nonprofit that we have for young ladies. And the nonprofit is entitled She is a Genius.
She is a Genius.
Yes.
Okay.
So She's a Genius is focused for young ladies and getting them exposed to mentorship as well as art and entrepreneurship. And we work with them and just provide that mentorship and insight in those areas. But the piece that we appreciate support is donations for that, to provide the programming to the young ladies and be able to provide them that mentorship that is key to helping them in this day, in this world that we're in, especially, social media and all the different pressures that they have to face, and just being able to have that support system of helping them really get guided on their journey in life.
Absolutely. So
and purchase your books and purchase your T-shirts.
Purchase your book. I don't have the T-shirt. I need the T-shirt.
Yeah.
So, Excel, you know what I'm saying? No,
we got you.
So, listen, you need the I Am a Genius book. You need the T-shirt. You need to support monetarily so they can continue to get the program for the young ladies. She is a Genius, where they talk about mentorship, art, and entrepreneurship. And listen, it has been my esteemed pleasure to have you on the show. I do see this is probably just the beginning of a great relationship that's going to impact lives and shape the world. So on the Drawing Board Podcast, we always say your future is not behind you. It is not before you, but it is within you. I'm Andre Ebron, and I need you to go ahead and declare this with me. Say it with me. I am a genius.
Genius.
God bless you.